Here we are. Yeah. Yesterday we covered a fair amount of ground, looking at some of the writing aspects of the exam, understanding how marks are gained really one at a time. You know, when you're writing, it's about short, sharp, simple sentences, yeah, with a full stop, leave a space, new paragraph. Ideally, you have a definition. You've got to apply your knowledge, discover what's going on, and try and reach some kind of conclusion. We had a look at ethics. We had a look at various things. But some of the things we were looking at were linked around group accounts, definition of a sub, how we dealt with impairment, that kind of thing. This morning, I want us to tackle some exam questions on group accounts. And there's one last little trick, or there's one last little procedure that we perhaps haven't covered, and that's group structures and how you can have a complex group structure. And this is an area which can be examined, but never in a written context. I've never seen a kind of a written question revolving around complex group structures. Now, because this is revision, I think you've come across this before, but let me first of all take you through the process that you are thinking about. What have I written on the screen? A to B, 90%, B to C, 80%. That B has an investment which it has incurred in controlling C and incurred 200. That the net assets of C at the date of acquisition are 100, and that the NCI is to be determined as a proportion of net assets. Now there's 2, 3, 4 things immediately buzzing around my mind. So let me first of all say nothing for 30 seconds, and then maybe you can just sort of make sure you've got that copied down and make sure you can sort of digest and maybe anticipate what I'm about to say. Oh, sorry, perhaps you still want to have a look at it, copy it down for a second longer. I am A, B is my sub. Yeah, happy with that? Yeah? I am B, C is my sub. Yeah, happy with that? Now, to be blunt, I'm never, ever, ever that interested in B. I'm only going to prepare one set of group accounts, and I'm going to do that as the A group accounts. So if I'm A, what is my relationship with C? Yes, so the key question is, do I control C, yes or no? Yes, I do. Okay. So A controls B, B controls C, and therefore C is a subsidiary of the A group. You can call it a sub-sub, you can call it an indirect sub, but you're probably not writing down that fact. You are just applying your knowledge straight away that C will be consolidated as a subsidiary. And the same would be true if we had 60% and 60%. Yeah? The same would be true if we had 60% and 60%, because A still would control B, B still would control C, C would still be a subsidiary of the A group, because you've not made your definition of a sub based on a number, have you? You've based it on a principle that A controls B, B controls C, therefore A is in control of C. So C is a sub-sub of A. What's the share of profit? What's the share of profit that A has in C? 72%. Yeah. So what we know is that C is a sub of A, that C is a sub of the A group, C is a sub of the A group, and the interest will be 90% of 80%, which is 72%. And therefore, the non-controlling interest is 28%. So the controlling interest in C is 72 to 28. So when you are consolidating the group accounts, the two key relationships are, that is the story for B, yeah, and that is the story for C when it comes to working out the consolidation of the pre and post acquisition profit. No one ever really cares about the 80% as a calculation. Now there is a trick. I hope it's a famous trick. I hope it's a trick that you've seen before, but there is a trick relating to the calculation of goodwill. Because when you come to calculate the goodwill of C, yeah, your starter for 10 is this 200, but I don't trust the 200 because I am A and I did not spend that 200. That 200 was spent on my behalf. That 200 was spent by my vehicle. That 200 was spent by my subsidiary B. If you know how to calculate the goodwill of C, it may only take you 2 or 3 minutes. If you are not sure how to calculate the goodwill of C, then maybe you have 2 or 3 minutes of relaxation at the beginning of the day. But I'm going to be quiet now for 2 minutes, because what I would like you to do for me, please, is to calculate the goodwill of C that would be appearing in the A group accounts based on B buying C for 200, the net assets of C being 100, and the NCI being based on a proportion of net assets. 2 minutes. Enjoy. Have a go. Answer, and when I write out the answer, I will write it out very quickly. Let me first of all talk you through the answer. I think there are 2 tricks in the question. The first trick revolves around the investment. What is the fair value of the parent's investment? Now you've got to remember, the parent is effectively A, but it is B that has spent the money. So B's investment in C, so far as A is concerned, is indirect. Bottom line, ultimately, I don't want 200. How much do I want? 180. I only want 90% of it. Okay? Because 10% of it will be charged to the NCI. So there's an indirect holding adjustment. So 10% of that 200 will be sidelined and will be debited, reducing the NCI. So in terms of calculating goodwill, I only want 180. And that's the first thing to get right. Second thing to get right, well, you've got your net assets given to you. The second thing to get right will be the NCI. So we need to know the NCI in C from the perspective of A, and the NCI in C from the perspective of A is 28%. Yeah, 28%. So if you get 28% of 100, which is sort of mental maths that I can do, yeah, then you're going to get the right figure for goodwill. Yeah, in your NCI, you're starting off at 28, then you've got a negative 20 for the indirect holding adjustment before you even start the allocation. So I think that means the ultimate answer is 108. If you've got 108, you're just going to sit back there and relax for the next 1 minute while I do the actual answer. if you started and you just wrote 90% of 200 to give you 180, you are of course correct. If you started and all you did was write 90% of 200, you are correct. But in an exam scenario, you would have to remember to go back to working for, you would have to remember to go to NCI, you would have to remember to reduce the NCI by 20. So you are crediting the investment, reducing the asset, and you're debiting the NCI. So both sides must come down. Yeah? So, you know, it's all well and good getting the goodwill correct, but I'd also like you to get the NCI correct as well. NCI is being measured as a proportion of net assets, and the NCI percentage, bizarrely, is 28%. 28% of what? 28% of 100 is 28, and then you've got the fair value of the net assets at the date of acquisition being 100, and therefore the overall answer is goodwill of 108. So how can I put it? That's a fairly straightforward situation, and I think most of you were fairly comfortable with that scenario. Let me throw you into something a little bit more challenging, but something that I think you can all cope with. Please can you turn to page 40. Yeah, please can you turn to page 40. Now, I'm not going to say anything. It's up to you to read it, and it's up to you to solve the trick, because there are a number of decisions that you have to make. So the question is c'est la vie, which is French, I think. French for this is life, c'est la vie. So yeah, calculate the goodwill relation to V that will be included in the group statement of financial position of the C group. So page 40, 2 or 3 minutes please. Can you have a go? Yeah, do your best. Enjoy. I will review the question. I will be coming round. Have a go. Good morning.